In today's show, we're talking Trailblazers preseason, where Scoot Henderson bounces back from a very rough debut. Plus, first look at Donovan Clingan and Deni Avdija in a Trailblazers uniform. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. As Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're talking Trailblazers preseason games. It has been a while since we've talked about them playing real basketball games, and these aren't even real ones. These are the exhibition version, but they're finally back on the court. Friday in Seattle against the Clippers, and then they played Sunday in Sacramento against the Kings. We're going to talk about those first two games. So the focus of today's show, we're going to talk Scoot Henderson, who had a brutal Friday night and bounced back nicely on Sunday against the Kings to play just a normal game. And then we'll talk Donovan Clingan, who we got our first real look at the Blazers rookie in two games, and Deni Avdija, who made his NBA, or his Blazers, not his NBA debut, year 5, made his Trailblazers debut on Sunday in Sacramento after sitting out the Friday game. There's a lot to unpack here. It's been a long time since we've played basketball games. So those are the three guys we're going to focus on today mainly: Scoot, Deni, and DC. I want to talk about everything, though, and the beauty of doing this 5 days a week is that tomorrow's show, we'll talk Ryan Rupert. We will talk Toumani Camara, who's been really solid in preseason. We'll talk DeAndre Ayton and Jeremy Grant. We'll talk Chris Murray a little bit. I want to talk about all those guys. There's a lot to unpack from two basketball games. It's kind of the gift and the curse of two basketball games over the weekend when we haven't seen this team in a long time. It's like everything is new and there's a lot to touch on. But today's show's going to be a little bit focused. Scoot, DC, and Deni, and then we'll come back for everybody else on tomorrow's show. And it's what we do 5 days a week. It is the strength of the pod that there's a lot of these. You ain't gotta wait. It'll be in your feed tomorrow. But let's start with Scoot before we talk DC and Deni. Blazers actually on Sunday snapped a very dubious streak. In the Chauncey Billups era, they had been 0-11 heading into the season against NBA teams in the preseason. They had never in the Chauncey Billups era beaten an NBA team during preseason. They beat a couple non-NBA teams, a couple foreign teams preseason, New Zealand Breakers, and off the top of my head, I can't remember the other team, an Israeli team. I can't remember who they were. But it is like they'd gotten walloped when they in the exhibition season against NBA teams. And it continued Friday night. They played the Clippers. Game came down to the final possession. Scoot Henderson got fouled, split a couple free throws to give the Blazers the lead. And then to give the Blazers the lead. And then the Clippers came down to tie the game. Clippers came down and they had a scramble out of the scrambled on the inbound, and Kai Jones ended up getting a dunk to seal it, put them up 2. Blazers went for the win, and Delano Banton missed a 3. The results of the game don't really matter. I mean, I couldn't even tell you what happened to that game. I think the function of how it goes down matters. But the Blazers dropped to 0-12 in the Chauncey Billups era. And then that night, Chauncey Billups and crew, a bunch of the Blazers went with him, flew directly from Seattle. That game played against the Clippers in Seattle. Flew directly from Seattle to Springfield for the Hall of Fame ceremony. Chauncey Billups inducted into the Hall of Fame this evening. Congrats to Chauncey. And the Blazers snapped the streak. 1-12. They get a win in the Chauncey Billups era against an NBA team when they wallop the Kings on Sunday. They just smacked them. They straight up dominated the Kings, who were all out of sorts. They're now 1-12 in the Chauncey Billups era, except one with an asterisk because Billups was literally on the other side of the country. Incredible streak. Hope it never ends. Okay, let's talk Scoot. Game 1, everything you could possibly worry about was there. Everything you could possibly worry about. The first minute of the game, he turned the ball over twice. Once on a way too ambitious pass, and once on getting his pocket picked cookies right inside the 3-point line by Derek Jones Jr. Just like immediately, and then in between there missed a jump shot. The finishing was horrendous. The decision-making was horrendous. The jump shot is still not there. The defense was a problem. James Harden was saying in the first half when Harden played for the Clippers, he's like, bring me Scoot. And they were, picking, Harden is, one of the guys in the league who probably picks out his dance partner in the pick and roll as much as anyone aggressively. And he wanted Scoot. He wanted to make sure he got a switch and got Scoot on him, and then so he could go to work. Like, everything you are worried about Scoot Henderson, everything. It was the why didn't this dude play in preseason or in Summer League masterpiece. It was like, oh yeah, for sure this guy didn't need to play in Vegas. Because look at him. It was just, he was awful. And I don't feel the need to sugarcoat it. It's fine to say it's one game, it's preseason, it's all those things. It's fine. But he was awful on Friday night. He was awful in a lot of ways. So some of it is just the skill stuff, right? He's a bad finisher, and that showed up in a whole bunch of ways. Just getting himself to the rim and no touch around the rim, no feel, no touch. But way more concerning to me, more concerning to me, just the general lack of feel he played with on Friday night. Just a general lack of feel. He's going against the Clippers, who played their guys in the first half, and no Kawhi Leonard, but this is like a competitive team. I think they're going to be a pesky defensive team. They might suck a little bit on offense, but Derek Jones Jr. and Ivica Zubac, they're going to have ways to have some good defenders on the court. Terrence Mann is a good defender as well. Like, they're going to have some ways to put good defensive lineups on the court around James Harden. I think they're going to be pesky on that end. Like, I don't know if the Clippers even make the play in, because I don't know about Kawhi's health, but like, they're not awful. They're not a bad basketball team. They're probably just mediocre. They're probably a team that wins 41-ish games. But they dominated. Like, Scoot couldn't hang against that team because it's just the simple reads, making reads and pick and rolls. He had trouble getting the ball to Ayton on the roll, and so then he was trying to fire, as okay, Ayton's rolling and I'm going to kick out to the wing. Even his passes to the wing, he was having trouble just making clean passes out of pick and rolls, not even to the roller, just like swinging it to the corner. His handle was loose. He got caught 3 or 4 different times in between this shot and lob decision making, where it's like, Scoot, here's what he wants to do when he comes off a screen. He wants to come off a screen, snake back to his right hand, and put the guy, his defender, on his hip, right? Get his defender on his back. Because Scoot's strong and he's got long arms, so if he gets you on your back, he can conceivably operate in front of you so you can't get back to him, right? Like, it gives him a little bit of an advantage. But every time he would do that, he would get caught in between whether he wanted to shoot a floater or throw a lob pass. A couple of them, one of them, I'm not sure in the first half whether it was a lob or a shot. It's just a bad look to DA. A couple others where it's just like he gets caught in between. He's driving in with no plan. He was just brutal on Friday. Brutal. Like, finished with 7 turnovers. I'm not gonna do much box score stuff in the preseason. I don't think it matters. But finished with 7 turnovers. Watching it was way worse than the box score numbers can tell you. Like, he was just bad. He was bad. And so all of the things that you worry about, everything is there for you. The feel, the skill, the defensive issues, the shooting, the finishing at the rim, everything is there. And if I had recorded a podcast on Friday night, this is a daily show, but it's weekdays, Monday through Friday. If I'd recorded a podcast right after that, I would have told you exactly what I just told you in the last 3 minutes, that he was awful. And then he played better against the Kings, much better against the Kings. He still had his warts, right? Still had a couple ugly finishes inside where it's just like he gets... he's still not using his left hand around the rim. I don't care about that. I think that's overblown. Plenty of guys in the league, including Damian freaking Lillard, preferred finishing right hand on the left side, even wide open layups, right hand on the left side. Like, I don't care about that. It's the touch on the layups. On the right hand, like, way too high off the glass to get around someone trying to block your shot, or just really hard off the backboard at full speed, like no touch there. Still some of that against the Kings, but so much freaking better. Like, he was against Sacramento. I don't think he was like exceptional by any means. And I don't mean to say this was like this massive bounce back, but like, he was just normal bad. He the things that he did poorly, not even normal bad. He was just kind of normal young player. He had, a couple bad decisions, getting, pass shoot, getting caught in with some decision making on drives. He was a little loose with his handle and got the ball poked away from him a couple times, even that weren't turnovers, but just like losing the handle. Missing some layups around the rim, but he also had some plays where he finished, also had some plays where he used his speed. And I think one of the big things I noticed against the difference is like Zubac and Kai Jones are big for the Clippers. That's size around the rim. Sabonis is a big dude, but he doesn't jump. Like, he's not a vertical rim protector by any means. And like Alex Len is not, He's bigger, and he's very big even, but like he's not this like crazy vertical rim protector. And Scoot, without playing against a team that's maybe less athletic around the rim and just like generally less like smaller on the wings, much more success. Was able to get by Keegan Murray off the dribble, was able to get by Keon Ellis a little bit off the dribble, get himself to the rim and just make shots around the rim. Had a couple reverse layups, got himself to his right hand, like just way better. Even warts and all in the second game, like the warts and all, just like a totally normal young player plays exhibition game type of showing. Turnovers are way down. He gets some assists. Some of the assists just like, the ball goes in, but even just without the assists, he didn't have the problem making a read out of pick and rolls. The Kings were really bad on Sunday, but you don't apologize. You just go out and win, right? You just go out and play better than a team that's playing poorly. And the Blazers did that. And I thought Scoot had a bounce back to a game that was very reasonable. And if he had this game against on Friday, right? If he'd had the game, it's like unremarkable, right? You would have been like, Scoot still has some problems, but he looked good. Scoot still has some problems, but you can see that he's okay. And because Friday doesn't get erased. You don't get to say it doesn't exist or wave it away. Like, I'm not going to wave it away. I'm going to remember how bad that was. But it's like, it's one preseason game. It's one preseason game where he looked bad. I don't think you have to say Scoot's good, actually. Some of your friends will, and you can let them say that. But I think what you can say is like, Friday was really bad. Sunday was a lot better. I hope he continues in that direction. It doesn't have to be this great, like, major meaningful moment, but I think you could acknowledge that Friday was an absolute stinker from Scoot, and that Sunday he looked like a young player who was like, I have some skills. I can get to the rim. I can I'm able to use my pace in a way that is actually valuable as opposed to just out of control. Like I'll say it again. On Sunday, he looked like a young player playing in an exhibition game with some talent, right? Where you'd say, okay, some things you need to work on, but that dude's talented. But Friday just lingers, and you're like, it was bad against the Clippers. And he was really awful against the Clippers, and undeniable. One preseason game, you want to see him move forward, but that first impression of Scoot's going to stick with you. If he continues to build and he continues to get a little bit better and continues to sort of play at multiple speeds, not just one, and make some like better decisions, then you won't be reminded so much of a preseason debut. You'll start to look ahead, and I think Scoot gave you reason to look ahead on Sunday against the Kings. We saw Donovan Clingan play some basketball games with his Blazers NBA teammates, and not just in Summer League. Let's talk about what we saw from DC in that second segment. Join me there, won't you? Before we do that, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook, and they want to make it fun for you to watch NFL games. I'm recording this during Sunday Night Football. We've made it. To another NFL Sunday. And if you were watching games today, or say you're watching the Monday night games, because you're listening to Monday, October 14th show, say you're watching Monday night games, you want to get in on the action, you got a hunch in the middle of the game. Well, FanDuel makes it easy for you to live bet games. They've got the latest stats and live play-by-play all on the same page where you place your bets. So if you're looking to live bet games, looking to get in live wagers, they make it easy for you to be an up-to-the-second informed wagerer. And plus, if you're a new user, you're going to get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. All right. Let's talk DC. Donovan Clingan. I think Donovan Clingan has been pretty solid in his first two games. I thought game one, he was generally pretty competent. There was some times where he looked slow, and I think he looked tired particularly in the second half of game one. It's like, oh yeah, he hasn't played. He's played against his teammates, but hasn't played against another team in a while. This is just like, step up in speed, step up in all of that stuff, right? I thought he looked a little tired at the end of game one, and I thought there was moments in game one where he looked a little slow, looked a little flat-footed. But he always looked like kind of aware of what he does and doesn't do, and I think that's one of Clingan's strengths is like, for the most part, except for the 3-pointers he took in game two, talk about that in a second, but for the most part, it's like he really gets what he's going to do. He's competitive on defense. Had one play where he stoned Ivica Zubac inside, like where Zubac tried to get up and around him. He had another play where Kobe Brown kind of got under him and he jumped and then bumped him, and like a soft and one against Kobe Brown. It's like, you can't have that happen. You can't, if you get caught in the air, you need to clobber that dude. Like you can't let him just like scoop up a little layup. If he gets you in the air, you cannot let him attempt a shot. And that's, those kind of the subtleties you'll learn of being a big guy around the rim, particularly like Clingan. Like, he has 6 fouls to use. He's not going to play enough where foul trouble is going to be a problem. I know some people, your uncles all out there, think foul trouble is real. It's not. There is no such thing as foul trouble for a dude who's only going to play 18 minutes. What are they going to do? Well, if Donovan Clingan fouls out, and if he commits 6 fouls in 18 minutes, what's going to be the penalty? He's not going to play? Not going to play much more than that anyways. Use him. So like he'll learn that. But the offense is dicey. He's not going to be a post-up guy. Straight up, they're just like not going to throw it to him in the post. But he's not going to be a post-up guy early in his career. I don't think that's real. He's going to score off of two ways for the most part. 2.5. He's going to score off putbacks, and I think we saw that. He's big, and he can get himself around the rim and use his size, and he's a good offensive rebounder. And the Blazers his teammates have said he's been a good offensive rebounder in practice, and I think we saw a little bit of that in his first 2 preseason games, particularly against the Kings. And he was pretty good against the Clippers, particularly against the Kings. You saw him be a good offensive rebounder, and he's going to be a role guy either as. This is why I say 2.5. It's like he's going to be a roll guy. He probably won't catch it like straight up on the roll and flush. Like he's not going to catch it 2 steps from the rim, sidestep, dunk, and all those things. Probably going to roll all the way to the rim, seal, guide drives, get a dump off, or roll most of the way to the rim and get a little lob and be able to like turn finish, turn dunk, that type of thing. So like, depending on kind of where he catches it amidst the pick and roll game, he's got 2.5 ways to score. He's going to shoot threes. I accept that, I guess. I don't love it, but I will say that there's a difference in quality in 3-pointers, and it's obvious. In game 1, his first shot attempt and first make in a Blazers uniform in the exhibition season was a top of the key 3 that he absolutely bagged, and it looked great coming out of his hand. Cash, money. I was in Seattle for the game. I'll talk about that a little bit in the close of the show. I was in Seattle for the game, so it's like, I'm sitting down low watching him from my angle, 3 rows back, like on press row. That shot looked great. When it hit the net and splashed down, it looked so clean coming out of his hand. No problem with that one. But I liked that shot because when he catches it, his feet are set. His shoulders are squared towards the rim. His toes are pointed towards the rim, and he's not moving. And so when he catches it, he can just assess and say, no one's closing out, I'm going to shoot it. Late close, I'm going to shoot it. The threes he took against the Kings are bad threes. The first one he took is a horrendous 3. He should never take that shot. He's backpedaling from inside the arc to the like trying to backpedal to get behind the 3-point line on the left wing. He's 7'2", 280, and he's going to take a backpedal 3 from above the break. Get out of here. That is a horrendous shot. He took 2 others that are like not as bad, but one of them he was sort of moving on the catch, and the other one was like a pretty heavy contest from Domantas Sabonis. The first 3 is a great 3. Shoot your threes like that. The second 3 he took, he's over 3 from 3 against the Kings. But the first 3 he took against the Clippers was a great look. Great look. That's the one you want to shoot. The other ones are like the first 3 he took against Kings backpedaling is like, I would bench him for that. Like, that's awful. That is an awful shot. It's a bad shot for a lot of people. It's an awful shot for Donovan Clingan. The other ones, it's like, whatever. I'll just have to grow up. I'll have to cry about it on my own. But I also think like him shooting threes takes away the offensive rebounding. It takes away his spacing in the dunker spots. It's fine if he shoots some threes. Like I'll live and learn. But like it is so clearly. It's clear that he's going to have some trouble on offense. And that's why I think I'm comfortable with him shooting 3-pointers. That 3 he took against the Clippers, that might be the best shot he can get on any given possession. So if you do get a shot where you catch it square on a pick and pop, or a shot where you're just spacing and your guys sagging in the paint because they don't trust you to shoot because you're a freaking 55% free throw shooter, that is a shot you should take. Not all threes are the same. Like there's just every one of them is baked at its own recipe. So like if you do get your feet set, get yourself in line to shoot with space, it's a good one. The other ones are just nightmarish, and they take away from the good things he can do on offense. I will say the one he made against the one on Friday that he made, it makes me think it's like that might be the best shot he gets. Maybe he should take threes, but he's got to be judicious about which threes he takes. He has to be smart about which threes he takes. It's like, but maybe like that wide open three might literally for Donovan Clingan be better than some like little push shot, hook shots from in the paint just because of touch challenges. Like I admit that. I readily admit that might be a better look for him. You gotta take the smart ones. I enjoyed the defense that he played. I don't think he was excellent on defense on Friday, but he was fine. I thought he was good on defense against the Kings. He wasn't great. And I think this was more so against the Clippers than the Kings. Was he got beat to a couple guys beat him and grabbed offensive rebounds when he was trying to clean the defensive glass. That's going to be big for him. He has to win. He has to grab defensive rebounds. He has to end possessions for the Blazers. They're kind of a bad rebounding team around him. If you don't know, they're kind of a bad rebounding team around him. At least they were really bad last year, and unless Deni really changes the narrative, they're probably going to also be a bad rebounding team this year. So like they really need Clingan if he's in there to use his size and rebound. They really need him to do that on defense. And I thought he had some really nice passes. A couple where he caught it in the post and immediately looked opposite. Catches it in the post. He doesn't look to post up, even with a smaller guy in him. He just says, catch it as soon as the defense draws into the paint because they know he's so big, swing it opposite. Now he's swinging to like non-shooters, so it's not going to work, but the instinct is there. And my favorite pass that he made, set up a Toumani Camara 3, but they're pressuring Delano Banton in the backcourt. He crosses over the midline, throws it to Clingan, and Clingan just gave it right back to Banton. No hesitation, just like he comes up above the three-point line to be a pressure release valve, catches it, Banton gives it to him, right, immediate give and go, just kind of like keep him moving because Clingan understands passing. Banton is able to catch it with a full head of steam, continuous dribble. He gets into the paint. They help. Banton kicks to the corner. Toumani pump fake, sidestep, splash from three. But that starts because Clingan just makes a smart pass. He's a good passer. He really is. And I think that'll help him a little bit on offense. And I think his willingness and understanding to pass, like he's comfortable as a passer. Like you can tell he doesn't have to think, pass. He like sees it and reacts very quickly. In general, like Clingan looks like a dude who's a rookie. He looks like a dude like the offense is a little bumpy, and there's some times on defense that he gets caught being a little out of position or a little slow. But like he has some good stuff about his game. I enjoyed watching him, and it's like he makes you feel like, okay, this dude makes enough of the right plays that as he irons out some of his skill stuff, he'll be headed in the right direction. I thought it was a nice debut, debut weekend for Clingan. The other debut I want to talk about is Deni Avdija, and then some other odds and ends from my trip to Seattle. Join me in that third segment, won't ya? Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. Deni Avdija made his debut, missed Friday's game because he was observing Yom Kippur, and then this was the plan. He had told the team that was the plan when that was scheduled, and then he was with the team in Sacramento and played against the Kings, made his debut. He kind of looked like a dude who hadn't played in a long time, playing on a new team. Like, I don't think this was like a exceptional Deni game. I thought actually in the third quarter he had some pretty bad moments where he's just like, I have to make a shot. And he was kind of forcing some jumpers and falling down and complaining about fouls and stuff. But it was just like, yeah, like he hadn't played in a while. It was a brand new team. And, Anthony Simons didn't play in these games. Matisse Thybulle didn't play in these games. Obviously, Shaedon Sharpe and Robert Williams are out. Thybulle's dealing with a knee soreness, and Anthony Simons has a sprained ankle. And apparently, they're just being cautious with Simons. And Chauncey Billups told Sean Highkin of Rose Garden Report that Ant's fine. And my read is that if it was a regular season game, Ant likely would have played in one of these games, and almost certainly the Sunday game. But it's like there's no reason They got 82 of these. They play a lot of them. They need Ant to be healthy, not him to sort of get these minutes now. But so like Deni's not playing in the best ecosystem, right? I think like that's like a point you could make for Scoot and Clingan as well. It's like they're not playing in the best ecosystem. But this kind of is the ecosystem for the Blazers. It might be crappy, so like take a deep breath, relax. This is what it might look like. You can wave it away, but I think the reality is this is kind of the roster. I don't think I don't think Deni was bad. I just think Deni looked like a dude who was like trying to figure it out. I think he took a couple of threes, particularly his first shot was kind of like an above the break three, dribbling, sets a screen, guys going under the screen. He's like, I'm just going to shoot it. Cause it's like one of those where it's like, I don't know where else I'm going to get my offense. I'm going to shoot this one. And like, it's some of it is just like ball go in stuff. If Deni makes a couple of these threes, missed a couple from the corner in the second half, or from, a little bit lower down towards the corner, maybe above the break, but towards the corner, and one straight up in the corner, you make a couple of those. It just like feels like a different game, but I don't think it was particularly good, but I think you could see, for me, I think you could see like the value that Deni brings. The Kings were like really, really bad. They played their dudes. Like the Kings played straight up their rotation, pretty much for the first 3 quarters. And they were down 21 to the Blazers after 3 quarters. Like the Blazers stomped them. Some of it was, I thought the Blazers played, they played competitive, hard basketball. Some of it was just like, the Kings sucked. They were so bad. They had 9 turnovers in the first quarter in this game. They could not buy a 3. I believe they started 3 of 21 from 3. Like, they were just horrendous. They played terribly. The game. So I went to the Seattle game, but the Kings game, I drove back to Portland after a beautiful weekend in the Emerald City, and I watched the game on Blazer Vision. It was a great first foray into watching games on Blazer Vision, but it was a very odd viewing experience. The first 5 minutes on Blazer Vision, which is the Blazers streaming service that you can watch through the NBA League Pass app. So however you watch NBA League Pass, whether it's on NBA.com or the NBA app on your mobile devices or whatever you plug into your television, it'll just be one of the feeds you can watch. And if you pay for Blazer Vision, that's how you'll be able to watch it. So I pull it up on my League Pass app, and there's no sound for the first 5 minutes. It's like a television feed, right? Like it's not the in-arena feed because you're not getting highlights. It's the in-arena television feed though. And then eventually 5 minutes in from absolute silence, you're getting the Kings radio call. And the Kings radio call was delightful. It was delightful. They weren't homers. I think often on local teams' radio call, you get homers. They complain about the refs and they're just like really pro home team. The dude on the Kings radio, play-by-play guy was just like, he was like, the Kings have been brutal. This is a debacle. This is embarrassing. Like he was really being real. He was great. I loved it. It was a delightful viewing experience after those first 5 minutes of silence. But I think, I think getting back to Deni, it's like viewing this game on TV, even without being be able to see the little things you can see when you're up close and sitting down low, it's like you could tell his value. You could tell he's just connective passing. It's like, okay, swing the ball quickly. Like he's just going to make things easier. Swing the ball quickly, make the right pass. Hit an easy hit ahead pass in transition. They don't run a lot of stuff for him. I wonder if eventually they will run stuff for him. And by that, I mean sometimes they run actions. Like in the NBA, you don't run plays that are like, this is a play designed for you to score, my friend. It's usually a play to get into an action. It's usually like, okay, we're going to run this set, and this set is going to lead to a pick and roll on the left side, and you two guys make a play. But even then, they didn't run a bunch of stuff that like led to Deni getting the chance to do his thing. DeAndre Ayton and Jeremy Grant didn't play in the second half of either of these games, but with Jeremy Grant on the floor, it's like he's gonna shoot when he gets it. And I thought Deni's chemistry with DA wasn't great. It's just like they look like dudes who haven't played together very much, and hopefully that'll get better, but they didn't look great. But like they just don't run a bunch of stuff for Deni, but there's just not a lot of like Deni specific actions. And like, let's be honest, that might be the challenge that Deni faces all season. You hope eventually they start calling his number and dialing stuff up. Here's the best way to make Deni succeed. But we thought they would do that with DeAndre Ayton last year, and it took 50 games. So like, don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Like I think the way to watch this and way to think about it is like Denny's going to need to figure out where he can fit in and hijack some stuff. Take control. Say, okay, I've got the ball. I know how to make plays. I'm going to make a play. Because if he does just stay in that sort of connective, passive, make the right play stuff, he might just he might not be maximized. And that is a challenge that the Blazers coaching staff struggled with a newcomer last year in DeAndre Ayton. We just freaking saw them do that. So like, I don't mean to say like, oh, they'll figure it out, because I thought they'd figured it out with DeAndre Ayton. They never did. It took them until freaking February. So I think Deni might have to I think the reality might be that Deni sees like he doesn't get a ton of stuff that's like, this is a play for Deni to make a play. This is a set that allows Deni to make a play. It might just be like, hey, Deni gets it in their little top of the key three-man weave handoff action, and now Denny's got to break it off and go to work. He had a great play early in the game where he got a screen and came off a screen and got cut off by Keegan Murray, and he just like put it behind his back and then looked over the top and threw a beautiful pass to DA for a lob dunk. It was a great pass, showed Denny's passing ability and his height, just like be able to see over the top and throw over the top. But it might just be stuff like that where you got to go improvise and do your thing. It's kind of the beauty of basketball. You got to often have to go improvise and do your thing. But like on the way the offense might work when it's Anthony Simons and when it's Jeremy Grant's out there and when it's DeAndre Ayton out there, it's like Denny's going to have to get in where he fits in, and then he's going to have to figure out where he fits in and then go take control. I think that's real. A couple other notes from this game. Jabari Walker on the Sunday game with about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he contested a corner three and came down and pretty clearly hurt his right leg. I did not see an update from the Trailblazers officially. They're all spread out. I know some of the PR staff is with Chauncey at the Hall of Fame. So like, who knows how it works, but I didn't see an update, but he limped off. I don't know that it was serious. I don't think there was any media there for the Blazers. As far as I know that Hyken and Fentress were not there, who are the general people who might travel, Fentress mostly. And I don't believe team reporter Casey Holdall was in the building either. So I don't think we had anyone who was like asking Nate Bjorkgren questions after the game. And I don't think the team sent out anything, but we will find out. I hope Jabari's okay. It didn't look like terrible. He walked off under his own power, but he had a limp. He clearly kind of hurt his right, I believe it was his right leg a little bit. Other thing real quick on Seattle, straight up Climate Pledge is significantly nicer than the Moda Center. It is a significantly nicer building than the Moda Center. It is way more NBA ready, like to play an NBA game tomorrow and there in Seattle. It holds 18,500 people. Like it's perfectly big enough. It's really nice. Like the guts of it are really nice. The concourse is really nice. The locker rooms have been updated. They're solid. Like it's Seattle's NBA ready. And like around the arena, around Climate Pledge is so much nicer than the Rose Quarter in Portland. Like one of Portland's biggest failings is just like no development of the Rose Quarter. It's just a failing of the city. It's a failing of the Allen Estate. It's a failing of maybe other developers. It's just like right around the arena sucks. Right around the Climate Pledge in Seattle rocks. There's a big park. You can walk to the Space Needle. There's art museum. After the game, I walked over and watched the end of a high school football game. Shout out to East Catholic and Roosevelt. Like it's way better. Seattle's I really enjoyed Seattle, and the arena is fantastic, top notch. When they get an NBA team, I will go watch games there because it was a whole bunch of fun. That's going to do it for today's program. Even then, it's over a half hour. So we talk Scoot, we talk DC, and we talk Deni. Tomorrow show, come back. We'll talk to Monty Kamara, who I think has been the standout of early preseason just in terms of like, dude can hoop. The Dude Can Hoop award so far goes to Tumani. We'll talk about him. Tomorrow we'll talk about what we've seen from DeAndre Ayton. I've got a fun stat to share with you about his three-point shooting. We'll talk Chris Murray. We'll talk Ryan Rupert. Come back tomorrow, 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, and also on YouTube. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.